So you're probably doing the work in your account engagement, from building lists to writing emails to nurturing sequences. And your sales team is still complaining that they cannot tell a hot lead from a dead one. You see, you're not missing effort, you're missing signals. And that is where account engagement grading comes in. And if you don't have it running right now properly, then you're flying blind on every single prospect in your pipeline. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up grading in your account engagement step by step, from profile to automation rules, so your systems tell you who to contact when. Because this is not a nice to have, it's a pipeline must have. But let's be honest here, none of the things I'm going to share with you will even matter if your account engagement emails are ending up in spam. And matter of fact, the more work you do will just burn you more time and more leads because they're not hearing from you. So you want to save yourself from all of that by booking yourself a free Deliverability consultation call with me using the link below, so I can tell you what your score is and how you can get it to the highest so your emails are increasing sales, not spam. On to what grading actually is. All right, so let's get into it. You see, the entire grading system in account engagement is built around something called profiles. A profile is basically a scorecard. It's like a set of criteria you define to judge how good a fit someone is for your business. Now, a prospect can only have one profile at a time, so it's worth thinking upfront about whether you need one or multiple. So for example, if you're running a marketplace with buyers and sellers, there are two completely different kinds of prospects, and they probably deserve two separate profiles. Same if you're a roofing company with both insurance clients and out-of-pocket retail customers. What makes someone a great insurance lead is totally different from what makes them a great customer or retail lead. But if you're just getting started, keep it simple. Build one profile, get it working, and expand later if you need to. So you want to click on the Prospect tab across the top navigation bar. Then you want to head over to Segmentation and click on Profiles. Now, you want to click into the default profile to open it up. Now, you'll see the default criteria that account engagement gives you right off the box. You have the company size, the industry, the location, job title, and department. Not a bad start, actually very useful for most businesses. Now, before we start clicking on edit, I want to make sure that you fully understand this, because this is the decision that separates a grading model that actually drives revenue from one that just looks good in the dashboard. You see, the grade doesn't have to reflect who your perfect customer is for your business. It should rather reflect who is most likely to buy. These two sound similar, but they're really not. So here's an example. Maybe you're a service firm and you're generally happy to work with companies all over the country. When you look at closed deals, you see that 80% of them are from Southern California. That matters because a new prospect from Southern California might already know your existing clients, or they could have even come in as a referral. And when you start talking about past projects, they will recognize their name and more likely convert. That likelihood should be baked into your grading. And you want to build your criteria around the signals of who buys, not just who you'd like to work with. So now let's click on the Edit Profile button in the upper right-hand corner of the profile page. Now, what you're looking at in this screen is really just labeling. There's no logic being applied here yet, because these are the names of the criteria buckets you want to grade against. So company size could just easily be number of employees, or number of beds if you're selling to hospitals, or enrollment if you're selling to schools. So you're just naming the categories, which in this case will leave the company size as is. Now, industry is usually a really useful one to include if you're selling across multiple verticals. And location is valuable if geography affects your sales team's close rate, which for a lot of businesses, it does. Now, job title is great if you care about seniority or function. Like if you're selling to marketing teams, you want CMO to show up somewhere in the title field. Now, department is very similar to title, so we just want to click on the delete option next to the department to remove it from the profile. Now, over on the right-hand side of each row, you will see the grade adjustment column. This is where the weighing lives. You see, every prospect starts at a D when they enter your system. When they match the criteria, the grade goes up by whatever adjustment you've set. And as you can see for yourself, your options are 1 full letter grade, 2/3 of a letter, and 1/3 of a letter. So here's what it looks like in practice. Say someone is sitting at a C. If they match on company size and you've set that adjustment to be 1 full letter, they jump straight to B. Set it to 2/3, they move up to B minus. Set it to 1/3 and they only nudge to C plus. So you're using these adjustments to control how each individual criteria contribute to the overall grade relative to everything else. So here's a setup that you can use for yourself, but you know your business better, so you feel free to make the adjustments accordingly. So for company size, because it's very important, we can set it to one full letter. For job title, also highly important. We don't want to be talking to someone who has no decision power. So for this, we'll put one full letter. But for industry, maybe a supporting factor, but not a deal breaker. So here you can put 1/3. Location, given everything we talked about with close rate, likelihood, that one is worth 2/3. But again, you want to adjust these based on your business, on how you want to weigh each criteria against each other. Now we want to click on Save Profile. Now, before we automate anything, I want to show you exactly how this looks like on an actual prospect record, because it helps you to see what you're building towards. So I'm going to click on this prospect. In this example is Jake Lund. And once we're inside that prospect record, I'm going to click on Profile tab. You'll see all the criteria listed right here. And you can manually click thumbs up or thumbs down on each one to indicate whether that prospect matches the criteria or not. So let's click thumb up on these 3 criteria to mark them as match. Let's leave the industry without a selection since there's no data for this prospect on this field. Now let's click back to the overview tab. As you can see for yourself in the grade field, Jake has now moved up to A-. That's the system working exactly as intended. But obviously we're not going to manually thumbs up every prospect in the database, so let's automate the whole thing. Now bear in mind, we're about to get into the automation rules setup, and this part is a bit technical. So if you're feeling lost with these steps at any point, don't worry, you can always book yourself a free call using the link in the description below, because I'll be more than happy to help you out as well. All right, automation rules are how you make grading to work by itself. Each rule follows a simple structure. If this field has this value, then take this action. And in our case, the action is always mark this prospect as matching a specific profile criteria. And you will need one rule for each criteria in your profile. So if you have 4 criteria, that means you need to make 4 rules. Now you want to click on the automation tab on the left-hand side of the navigation panel. And you want to click on automation rules. It's the second option in the menu unless the UI has changed by the time you're watching. You want to click on create new automation rule. Now, one thing that makes your life way easier down the road is a clean naming convention. Start every grading rule name with grading, so they're instantly identifiable. This first one is for industry. So I'm going to type in grading-industry as the name of this rule. Then you want to click to add a new folder and name it grading rules to keep all these rules organized in one place. Now, description is also worth adding. So something like, if industry is education or government, mark prospect as matching industry profile criteria. That way, anyone on your team can read this description and understand exactly what's happening without needing to open rules and trace through the logic. So let's add a description to the rule. If industry is education or government, mark as matching industry profile criteria. Now, if you end up creating multiple profiles later on, your naming convention should get a bit more specific. Something like grading-seller profile-the industry. Just enough context so it's immediately clear which profile each rule belongs to. Now let's build the actual rule logic. You'll see 2 sections, rules and actions. In the rules section, you want to click on add new rule. This will look very familiar if you've ever built a dynamic list. Same interface, same options, same add rule versus add rule group kind of behavior. And let's click on the field dropdown and select prospect default field. From the list of fields, choose industry. In the value, I'm going to type education, then add a semicolon and type government to include both as accepted values. Just like dynamic lists, you can use a semicolon to separate multiple values in a single rule. Add as many industry values as you want in here. The more specific you are, the more accurate your grading becomes. Now, for the action that fires when this rule condition is met. In the action section, click add new action. From the action dropdown, find and select change profile criteria. In the next dropdown, select the profile you want to apply this to. In this case, the default profile. Now in the criteria dropdown, let's select industry and set the match status to match. Now here's a pro tip on rule strategy, which is when you're first building out grading, only create matching rules the positive side. Since every prospect starts at a D, your first job is to build rules that push good fit people upwards to an A. Get all your positive matching rules live first, and once those are running and you've got a feel for how the grades are distributing, you can come back and layer inverse rule where if someone does not meet such cases, their grade goes down. For example, if you only sell in the US and someone's location comes in Canada or Europe, that's a negative signal. You can create a rule that specifically decrements the grade when location doesn't match. Start with positive rules first. Now, 2 more settings in this rule before we save. And both of these are about performance, not logic. Repeat rule, leave this unchecked. If this rule runs every single day, it's going to keep matching the same people over and over without doing anything new. So it's just going to waste system resources. And with execute in real time, also leave this unchecked because grade updates don't need to fire the instant a form is submitted. Letting these batch throughout the day keeps everything running clean and fast without anything breaking. Now just remember, now we're building a system that will be grading our prospects. So once it sees prospects that are worth nurturing, it then sends them emails. But again, none of these things even matter if those emails then end up in spam. So if you haven't booked yourself a free consultation call with me, then you want to do it now using the link in the description below. But if you want to see your Deliverability score first to know whether you have an issue, this is how you can check your Deliverability score for free. To check your score, you want to head to emailup.com, which I've put the link in the description below. And you want to click on free rules to then click on free Deliverability tests. Now, once you're in, you want to copy these email addresses and you want to go to your Gmail or Outlook to send a test email from your company's domain. Then you want to click on check email deliverability. If your score is 85% or above, you're all good. You don't need to worry about anything. But if it's anything lower, that means you have a Deliverability issue. That means most of your emails will end up in spam, which is not where you want to be. But don't worry, just book yourself a free consultation using the link in the description below so I can walk you through exactly what you need to do to get your score to the highest so that your emails are increasing sales, not spam. Now back with our automation, we want to click on create automation rule to save our rule. After the rule is created, it will land in a paused state. Click the action wheel on the right hand side of the rule now, and let's click resume to activate the rule. You can also activate it by clicking directly into the rule. At the top of the rule detail page, there's a link that says resume automation rules. Either way works. Once it's live, the rule is running in the background and updating your grades automatically. Now let's go back and repeat that entire process for each of your remaining profile criteria, from the job title, location, and company size. Same structure every time. If the field matches your target value, fire the change profile criteria action and set it to match. And once all your grading rules are live, the system just runs on its own grading forward. And every new prospect that enters your account engagement through a form, a list import, or any source gets graded automatically the moment they match these rules that we've created. And here's a use case for grading, especially if you're running trade shows, which is after coming back from an event with say 500 names, you can import them into your Salesforce. And before your sales teams make a single call, the grading model has automatically graded them. And you can look at the list and immediately see, are these our kind of people? Are we looking at mostly A's and B's or mostly C's and D's? You see, that kind of intelligence, knowing whether an event was actually worth the booth fee, is genuinely valuable, and you get it for free once your systems are set up. And that's everything you need to get grading up and running in your account engagement. 1 profile, 4 rules, fully automated. And that's everything you need to know to get grading up and running for your business. And if you enjoyed the video, then you want to hit the like button and subscribe so I can make more videos for you so that you can make the best of Salesforce for your business to maximize its growth.